So, welcome to the workshop. Like Saturday, Sunday, what we have decided, what we have informed to all that today is going to be regularly. We used to have a kind of mock interview on Saturday, but we want to have a workshop on Linux, a hands-on Linux, and you have to do right now. We are going to give hands-on practical labs. So, in the workshop itself, every student should demonstrate their skills, right? So, we'll give a time. So now we got to start because already 9:10. So as we need to know that why we have kept the Red Hat Linux, that means Linux operating system, why we are giving priority, why we want, like most of the students, like everyone should go forward, understand about Linux, because people are very near to the Linux operating system. Even people do not know what is Linux. After graduation also, they are used to have what Windows 10, Windows 11 or Microsoft operating system. They know very well. So they don't know about even interfaces of Linux. But when they go out after graduates, though they find a lot of issues of their own skills. If they go for any kind of AI or cybersecurity or machine learning or data science, or if they go for kind of data analytics, or they want to go for any cloud computing engineering or DevOps engineering, they need hands-on Linux. Even software developer are encouraged. They need to do Linux operating system. They should know because most of the development part are going to be on what Linux platform. So that's the reason we encourage, and we want to conduct this kind of workshop Saturday, Sunday, and the next Saturday, Sunday, we are going to have a cybersecurity kind of workshop where you're going to learn what exactly is cybersecurity, how the defending and kind of attacking system happen, the process, layers of security. We'll discuss later. But now, as we have reported, we have kind of informed that we are going to go for Linux hands-on and understand the importance of Linux today's in a kind of trend. What exactly you want to adapt. Fine. Now, let's start. So the agenda is basically what? Introduction to operating system, the importance of operating system in everywhere, whether you are a testing engineer, whether you are into a kind of developer or functional, or that means operation side or a security side, you have to know about operating system. So, and real-time use case. What is the use case of operating system? Why do we use? Because most of the students after graduate, they know very well Windows 10, Windows 11, but they don't know that part of the Windows operating system offers a kind of server-based computer like operating system or Linux operating system. So what is the use case of that? Why they have defined these different kind of editions or different kind of categories? We'll see this. And we have an option called what? History of Linux operating system and compare with Windows. Just basic history, how they started, who started, and what is the difference between Windows and Linux. Distro of Linux and deploy Linux local or cloud platform. So distro is a kind of terminology. In Linux, we say distribution. In general word, we say what? A kind of classification or categories of Linux. So Linux having a lot of categories. We'll discuss on that, and deploy Linux local or cloud platform. If you want to use Linux operating system, you can locally install or deploy on your laptop or desktop, or you can use cloud. So we'll see that how to use on cloud, how to work on locally. File system hierarchy. File system hierarchy is basically a kind of, it's related to Linux. So we'll talk about file system hierarchy here. Here, how the Linux is organizing the directories for like storing system files, user file, application files, how they're going to organize it. In Windows, we have different kind of categories, organized, downloads, my documents, program files, Windows folder, users folder. You have different folders which keeps different data in different organized manner. So is there any kind of file system hierarchy into this Linux? We'll see that. Common operation at your job daily. Now we want to just collect commands which are common to a daily life. That means if you are working as a cloud engineer or DevOps engineer, so what are the common operation you do in this kind of your profile? You're not a Linux administrator. This course is not designed, this program, this workshop is not designed for to make you Linux administration part or administrator. So this workshop is designed to understand the essentials of Linux, which is going to be used as a profile rather than your Linux administrator. Because if you apply for a cloud engineer, DevOps engineer, or cybersecurity, they definitely ask about Python and Linux. Two programming language, Python and Linux. When you Google it, you'll find a lot of use cases, a lot of job description says what you should have hands-on Linux. So you should know that common operation, what you do. So we'll learn. Linux is very easy, I'm saying that, compared to Windows. Only you should have typing skills. Don't fear about the black screen. Because we are used to have what click, 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 click. But now, it's a time to change. Because we need to be a dynamic personality. We should not be only just stuck toward only one Windows or just click, click, click. Because market demand is. These skills can give you a good job. So that's why we want to conduct and we want to encourage to implement your skills on Linux operating system. Introduction to Bash shell or scripting, that is a create based script. So what is shell script? What do you mean by shell script and how to use it? How to write a small program? What is the benefit of this? Why should I learn this? So this is going to be a kind of your workshop here. So let's start about the workshop. Now, we have to start with what? Introduction to Linux operating system. But before going Linux, we should go forward OS. Before this, I can say what is software? Or we can say something about hardware and software. We should know this basic terminology. What is software and hardware? You purchase a kind of machine and you want to use it. You purchase a desktop computer or you have purchased a kind of laptop. Okay. You purchase this desktop and laptop and you want to use for this, okay, for your personal use. If you want to use it, so what do you require? You have purchased the system. It can be Intel or it can be AMD. These are the common CPUs manufacturer which you find in the market globally. Intel or AMD is a kind of central processing unit. These two companies are more in a market, but mostly people go priority with what? The sales and the higher priority and the share market goes to Intel. So you find what? Intel i3, i5, i7, i9. You have some generation 4, generation 3, generation 5, something. How much the higher generation, the higher capacity. It means performance will be. That's in a simple way I'm saying that. So now you have purchased the machine, good machine, and the machine is like basically required what? Building components of what? A PC, personal computer. So what do you require? What do you require? Can you say, anyone say please online? I'm just giving a basics, very basic, starting from basics. It's very important to know that. Online. Am I audible to online, everyone here?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Can you say that I want to build a computer, right? What are the basic components I required to build a machine? Rehana, Nagis here, and I got a Suji, Rajeshwari here, Daniel, Zohra Ijaz, and I got Amina Khatun here, Deepak also here. So Mirza also here. Can you say something like what are the components I require to build my machine? Sorry? The first more important is what? CPU, right? Number two is what? I want to build this machine. That means to build the machine, these are your central unit. This is your central unit, right? After that, we'll talk about the monitor and all those things. We want to build this much. This is going to be a main machine where the storage, computing will be done here.
Next to that.
Okay, RAM. Then you go for what? Storage. You do not say the hard disk, right? Only say storage. Next one, please.
Motherboard, power supply,
Okay, motherboard or main board, you can say, or you need a power supply.
keyboard, mouse,
And the keyboard mouse, right? Keyboard mouse. And the monitor, right?
yes.
You got it. So among this, the CPU, RAM, and storage, you need to understand. In a technically, when you're working with any kind of in a technical course, at least you should know these three components are very important: CPU, RAM, and storage. So CPU mostly manufactured by which company? Intel or AMD? Two companies.
Yeah.
The best company right now in the market globally is going to what? Intel. And you go for what? Intel i3. The models, the product, right? If you purchase any mobile, you have some models. Same thing, the kind of models are there in CPU. i5, then i7. You have an i9 here. You have different kind of models here. You can go. So you purchase i9 and then you have to go for what? RAM. You have to think about the memory. RAM is basically referred to as memory. You have to understand. Random access memory. So you say memory and storage are two different terminology. When I say memory, it's a temporary kind of memory and a primary. And storage, it is a permanent storage. That means they both are storage. But you define separately memory and storage because of what? Their use cases. Memory is basically for storing temporary kind of information. Runtime information. Runtime means whenever you run something, it's going to store where? First RAM. Then it will go for what? Storage. You need to understand about storage. So this is like these are the three components which makes your systems: storage, RAM, and this. So where your software is going to be fit, that means we are going to place, we are going to install, we are going to install or store We're going to store where? RAM or hard disk? That is storage. Storage can be HDD or it can be what? SSD. Right now HDD is outdated and SSD is in a market. SSD, right? What is the full form of SSD? Solid state disk. So solid state disk, the differences between HDD and SSD is what? They both are storage, but earlier we used to have HDD, but right now we are getting only SSD. And SSD is 20 times faster than HDD. The differences, I can give a point here. I can say 20 times faster than HDD. And when you switch on your computer and if you have HDD, it will say like loading, it takes time. But when you have the SSD and you just switch on, 3 seconds you are into desktop. But it will take 20 seconds, 30 seconds for your HDD. And if you want to install, if you want to operate any software, you required what? You required a kind of time in HDD. But whereas in SSD, you'll find a very high speed and reliable. You can say reliability and durability is more than in SSD, not HDD. SSD is more reliable. If you like here, it's not having any movement components. Moving components means what? That means a motor device. You don't have any motor device here. You don't have any kind of mechanical parts here, movement parts. You have only what? A kind of circuit board. So in HDD, you see that word moving parts. That makes difference, and moving parts required more power supply. And whenever you have a fluctuation in power supply, it's affect to the hard disk. It's affect to the storage, that is your HDD. And here, SSD will not get affect in a fluctuation of power supply because it does not have any kind of moving components inside. That makes sense that, and it's very lightweight and fast. You can say reliability is more into the storage of SSD. If you throw, if you just drop your HDD from a 3 feet or 4 feet, then there are chances of the HDD will get what? Only 1%, then it may be healthy. 1% healthy, but 99.9%, like 99% is what? Dead. But when you throw your SSD from a 10th floor building, the chances of healthy is going to what? 99%. 1% there may be a chance of is going to be dead. So now why I'm saying that today's data is very important. If my system got damaged, because of some kind of you can say natural disaster, fire incident, or something happened to my system, but the company bother for what? Storage. They don't bother about the computer devices, keyboard, mouse, monitor, or your CPU, or storage, like RAM. They bother about what? Storage. The business data is stored into that. So you have to understand the importance of hard disk, that storage. So are you going to go for HDD? Because HDD is not reliable. You're going to go for what? SSD. Now, the question here, where your software is going to be fit in your computer. Where? Okay. First understand what? Software. So hardware is a kind of physical devices which does what? Computing, storage. Whenever you say that I'm running some software because of this power, which power? CPU power. Because of the CPU power is going to be run. But in software, what is exactly the software? Software is a word, a kind of logical components. Logical components. So it's a kind of imaginary kind of component in a computer. As we have a human being, it's made up of what? Two components, or two kind of material. That means you can say two parts of, we have a two components. Basically, one is physical body and one is soul. And everyone believe it. We have a soul and body. Have you seen the soul anytime? No, but you believe still. You have not seen, but you believe that soul is there. So we have made up of what? Two parts, physical body and same thing. The computers also is basically research on human being, and they started creating a computer. And same thing you find in a computer also two parts, a physical and logical. A physical part is basically what? Is a kind of what? Hardware, which can be touched, CPU, RAM, hard disk, and keyboard, monitor, all those things. So can you say that without software can we run the computer? No. You have purchased a heavy and very costly machine and strong machine, powerful, but it's waste without software. Same thing, a soul without soul, body is useless. So that means here, that means to make a computer, you need to have hardware and software. So logical components of a computer. So now the software again divided into two types. What are types? One is operating system, one is what? Apps. Both are software, but differences are there. The purpose is different. Apps is basically to what? For the user to utilize in their business. Or a non-business, that means student, can utilize for learning, new research. They can do that. So apps can help you. But what is the purpose of operating system? Let's understand here. Our subject is operating system. So operating system and application is going to store into where? In a hard disk. This software, whatever the software, or you have a files, the files also a soft copy. Files also soft copy, so which is created by the user, which is generated by the user, they work. It's stored into a file. So now the softwares and files store into where? Into the storage. Right? You say storage, that is SSD or HDD, any kind, but SSD is more reliable. As I said, we give importance, and when we have a loss of money or reputation because of what? Data. So data stored into where? Storage. So I should not go for HDD, I should go for SSD, because SSD is more reliable than what? HDD. So we should prefer that. And the performance also, we need in business, the work should be very fast, the productivity can be increased. So it's very important to have what? Storage. And it's very important to know about storage system. Now this softwares or files stored into where? Into storage, computer storage. Now we got an idea that what is operating system, what is application, software. But primary software is what? Software is operating system. Your applications or file are depend on what? Operating system. Without operating system, you cannot create a file, you cannot access the file, you cannot use the application. If you have Oracle, Java, Python, SAP application, you have any kind of application, if you want to use it, you need a base operating system. Why? Because our computer cannot understand high-level language. That means user understandable language. So Chinese are using in China, Japan is using Japanese, and Arabic people are using in Arabic, or a lot of people are using in English. If they are using these languages and CPU your computer, who's going to compute your software? Your whatever the questions, whatever the requests given to the computer, who's going to compute? Your hardware, that is your CPU, central processing unit. Whenever you request, it goes to where? whenever user request through a software, example, I want to find out 2 plus 2. Whenever I send a request through keyboard input devices, it goes to where first? In this section, as I said, this is the system. It goes to where first? It's going to store what? RAM. Okay, it RAM. So this communication 2 plus 2 is based basically because of what? Operating system plus apps. So because of this, user is able to send the query request because of this softwares. Now, when I send this, the operating system is responsible to take this my request, and operating system will manage this request and store into where? RAM. First it will go to what? RAM. Then it will pass to what? The CPU, not storage. It needs to compute. And this 2 plus 2, if this 2 plus 2 directly go to RAM and goes to RAM, like CPU, it cannot understand, because the CPU can understand its own language, machine language. So your operating system is doing here, your operating system is working like a what? Interpreter. Interpreter. Interpreter, one who translate one language to other language. This is what? Your high level language. And this is your CPU understand only machine language, its own language, binary or something here. So now, for the user, a user-friendly environment or user-friendly kind of computer, they need to accept any user-level language first. English or whatever you want to do, you just operate your computer. You request it. When you send the request, the operating system is responsible to convert this request into what? Into machine language. Then it's going to pass to the RAM. RAM will pass to what? CPU. And depending on the instruction, it will compute and it will display on the computer. The answer can be 4. But if you say save, this command is also like request. Whenever you say save, so this command goes again to operating system, again RAM, then CPU, then it will store into what? Storage. You have a kind of storage system here in a computer. And then when you say save, then again it's going to what? Save. Whenever this file is saved, it's a permanent. You can retrieve any time. But whenever you're storing here 2 plus 2 or something here, it is going to be only runtime. When you switch off the computer, when you restart the computer, this information goes, right? So you need to understand RAM is basically to accept or to store something on only runtime. You run physical, like your Python program or Java program, whatever you write, and when you run it, so it will store into what? Memory. Then it will do. And when you just like whenever you input some information on the program, it will store temporarily here. When you close the program, then it will going to be clean from here. So RAM only is for holding the your information or data temporarily until it computes. Fine. We got an idea that operating system is very important here. Who is making a kind of communication between your hardware and the user and applications. So because of that, you're able to access what? You're able to process your application. You're able to access your application. You're able to use your application because of what? Operating system. Now, who initiated operating system first in 1990s?
Unix.
Who developed? Yes, Unix, right? We say what? Initially, we find some kind of operating system called Unix. Then it's going to go for what? You know, Linux comes after the Windows. 1980s, Windows started. I believe that 1982 or something they started Windows operating system. That is Microsoft DOS. Microsoft is a company, right? which we know that very well because our laptops is loaded with what? Microsoft products. Now here, Windows, they started with 3.5 and they go for 95 here. They go for 98. Then they started with one operating system called ME, Millennium, in 2000. Then they started with what? XP. Then they started with what? 7, Windows 7 or Windows 8. Then Windows 10. Now Windows 11. I believe that latest version is what? Windows 11. So now Microsoft very popular in the market because of what? Its GUI, graphical user interface. That is user interact. That means multimedia kind of component like application can be used very well, and it is very easy to use. Even mouse is introduced because of Microsoft. Mouse is introduced because of what? Microsoft operating system. So this basically makes operating system Microsoft makes very popular in a like worldwide because of what? Click, 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 click. No need to type more. No need to do some kind of like very black screen and you don't have any graphical interfaces, nothing, multimedia, nothing. So, but Microsoft give an option that you can play the game, you can watch the video, you can listen to the audio, you can do a lot of things and just clicks. No need to do what? Typing on keyboard. So that's the way the Microsoft become popular in the market. In 1990s, Linux started. So Linux now is a very close competitor to Microsoft. So we'll understand. And Unix is basically kind of like Unix, and Linux is a family of what? Unix. That means the operating system Linux is based on what? Unix operating system. So now Linux started in a market in 90s, and then Linux become more competitor to Microsoft. Why? Number one reason is what? We'll see that. Number one, free. In market, you'll find paid software and free software. Freeware and premium. That means software to be paid. Free software means, freeware means what? The software which does not have license, you do not need to purchase. You just use it. But when someone says it's a free, it's a kind of paid software. Example, I'm using MS Office or Windows 10 or Windows 11 in my computer, which I have not purchased from a Microsoft, but I have downloaded from internet through a site which having option that what they're offering that you can download it free of cost. But Microsoft says that it's a copyright and license version. You have to purchase it. So if someone is purchasing, when someone is using the operating system or software of some vendors without their consent, without registration, license, we call that software called as what? Pirated software. And pirated software is what? Crime. Cyber crime, that according to cyber crime kind of rules and their protocols, it's a crime. You cannot use the software without the consent of that particular vendor. You have to purchase a license. You're driving without license, a car or vehicle, is a crime. You cannot use it. You have to register with the government. You have to say that yes, I know the driving, and you have to demonstrate. Then you have to get license, right? The same thing in the software industry. Whatever they use, they develop. It can be free. It can be paid. Free. This Linux comes under what? Free software. But Microsoft is a paid. You cannot use any product of Microsoft free. You have to pay. The Microsoft can give initially for only trial version. 30 days trials they can give and they can use, and after that it's going to be blocked. And you have to pay the amount of the license, and you have to use what again? The system. Is it clear? Now, it's a free, and as well as what? Open source. You know that open source? The softwares are free and paid, open source and closed source. So Microsoft is what? Please make all the points in between, I'm going to ask you some questions. Make some points. Always be ready with pen paper. So I'm going to ask you the differences between, just give me a differences between Linux and Windows. You have to be ready with that. So open source and closed source. This terminology we have to understand in the industry. The software which is like allowing you to see the code, what they have coded, background, and you can, there's encouraging one to change, to modify the code. You can modify that particular software. That softwares are called what? Open source. And the closed source is what? Your Windows is what? Closed source. And this Linux is free and Windows is what? Paid. That's the difference. That's make difference. But even though 1990s Linux started, they believe on CLI, command line interface. They don't go for graphical. They don't go for graphical. They initiated with what? Command line. And Microsoft become very popular because of their own products, database product, Office, MS Office product, or they have some accounting, financial application products. They have some, like a lot of products are there, Microsoft, operating system as a product. So that's why it become very popular and people use what? A lot of products of Microsoft only. They're dependent. And Linux being free also, people are not using. The people are two types. Basically, a kind of beginners, learners, and who are professional. They want security, they want performance, the work should be very fast and it should be secure. They want this kind of thing. And third one, they'll go for what? Cost efficient also. The product should be cost efficient. When the operation cost is less, definitely the profit will go high. So they want to look at this. They'll just go for this criteria. Now, you got an idea about open source and closed source and free and paid software. And we got something idea about GUI and CLI. Windows is a GUI and CLI is what? Linux initially. But now Linux also offering CLI plus GUI because of the competition. They also started a graphical interface, but initially it was basically only CLI, and they encourage. Even you should know that highly recommended in a professional world. They recommend what? CLI. Don't go for the like graphical. Graphical operating system, graphical softwares are vulnerable. You need more security on that. You need to maintain a lot of security on that. So they recommend mostly whenever you're working on a professional way, so recommended what? CLI. So but now Microsoft and Linux become GUI. They're offering what? Even Linux also offering GUI. And free of cost, you have to pay. Do not need to pay on that Linux operating system, but Microsoft, you have to pay and use. If you do not pay and you're using, it's a crime. So company cannot use it. But individual users, students and your labs, college labs, university labs, basically what? They are loaded with pirated software mostly. If they go for purchasing of that particular software licensing, it's going to be very costly setup for them. The fees definitely increase again because of that software maintenance. The lab will be increased. So mostly people are using what? And for learning and all those things, and home users, they're using what? Pirated software. But whenever you purchase the operating, like your laptops from the showroom store, new laptop, it's come with licensed software. Your Windows 10, Windows 11 is going to be licensed software. Now, you got an idea about free, open source, and these things. If I want to know this my operating system, I'm using what operating system? So let's see here. Client and server first. The operating systems categorized into what? Classified into what? Client and server. So, according to Microsoft, when I say Windows XP or 7 or 8 or 10 or 11, these are what? Client. And they have a server based operating system also. That's basically what it starts with. Microsoft Windows Server. When you see this addition, this number or this kind of caption, 2000 or 2003, 2000, now you have a word 2003, and then you have a word a kind of Windows 2003 server, and Windows basically they started with now 12. Then they have gone to what? Now it's going to what? 16 also. And then now it's going to what? 22. 2000 server. Whenever you see the word server, the operating system made for different purpose. Whatever that end users, the users are end users and the professional users. That means who are operation side, who is maintenance, who is going to operate that particular software, who is going to maintain the software, and who is going to supply that application to you. Example, you're using Meesho or using Flipkart, you're using some kind of Zomato, you're using any application. So this application, it depends on what? Operating system. And most of the operating system, you talk about Flipkart, Facebook or YouTube, most of the operating systems are basically what? Amazon is working on what? Linux. They're working on what? Linux operating system. You say Facebook, you say WhatsApp, you say something, your Amazon, you say Flipkart. So they are working on this application running on where? Which operating system? Linux. And when you say that satellite is working on what? Linux. And your smart TV, Android TV, it's running on what? Linux. Your smartphone, that is Android, is based on Linux. And aeroplanes, their operating kind of system is Linux. So you need to understand the Linux has become omnipresent mostly everywhere. And whenever you say banking application, whenever you say banking kind of servers is on what? Linux. Mostly they prefer on what? Linux. Cyber security, hackers, cyber security guys, they works on mostly on what? Linux. So when you talk about security, when you talk about performance, automation, example I'm talking about again, it become what? Now you got an idea about server operating system this. Now server operating system because of what? Administration management. Whenever you're accessing the Meesho or something or any application, example, any you can say that your Metro application, basically whatever the application they are using for ticketing and all those things, this software is running on what? Microsoft platform. So they need what? They are not running on Windows 10, Windows 11. This software is running on what? Windows Server. Which operating system? Windows Server. Because they want to control, they want to serve multiple users. Multiple users are accessing. So Windows Server is best for managing the CPU and RAM, and they can give access to multiples, hundreds and thousands of users and millions users can access what? At the same time. And the operating system should be capable to handle this traffic. So operating system, Windows Server is good to go for what? Running your application, serving in a market. So they use this. But as I said, Linux is mostly into what? 1990s here. And here, done by who's Linus Torvalds. It's a person in the university, as a part of university project, they able to develop one operating system called what? Linux. So who developed? Linus Torvalds. So later they have given a name of operating system is what? Linux. And he decided to make it Linux as an open source and free for the public. Now it become what? Mostly omnipresent. Mostly everywhere you find Linux operating system. Like example, satellite. NASA basically using what? Linux operating system. You can say this is going to be what? Your banking application mostly use what? Cyber security or hackers. Basically, they require what? Linux. And developers. Now, developers, basically, when you say developers, and globally, a lot of softwares are developing, new software are developing. They are mostly on what? Open source softwares. Java. Java has become very common right now. Go language, Google language, Go. And you said you have a language called Python. Python is not popular, more popular. So PHP application, Go language or Python are open source. This software, that means people are developing this software by using this programming language, developing new applications, this platform. So definitely this open source software fits very well on what? Open source operating system. So Linux is going to be a favorite for them. So developer, they want to develop any software, mostly they are using what? Linux operating system. So that means developers should learn Linux well. As I said, to learn the Linux, you can do the Linux in a complete as a administration part. Or if you don't want to go for Linux administration only, but you want to go for cybersecurity, you want to go for data science, you want to go for AI, you want to learn some Python programming, you want to learn cloud engineering, you want to go for DevOps engineering, you require what? Linux is common. Linux become what? Common requirement for every kind of profile. That means the role you want to perform, because your base is what? Linux. Now your Android machines, your Android gadgets is basically on what? Linux. So that means most electronic gadgets also work on Linux because it's free, lightweight. Small memory required to run it. Small CPU required to run it. It does not require strong hardware. In Windows, it required what? Strong hardware. More memory, more CPU they required. So right now, the Linux become very omnipresent in a lot of places, especially on professional and business side. But when you go for your developer side, basically you said what? End users, Microsoft is dominating on that. Whenever the Microsoft and second position goes to what? Mac operating system. And then Linux also become now GUI. Now you can use Linux as a word GUI. Click, because people need what? Lightweight, and it should be user friendly, and it should have what? Multi-user tasking. So these all features are available on Linux also. And even that you can say that I said GUI and something here, I can say what? Secure. And then super fast. Linux is super fast here. The differences here, I can differentiate to Windows and Linux. The fastest one what? Linux is faster. If you have a task, daily task to download something, daily you are doing downloads. So people do not prefer Windows. If you download 1 GB file from internet or some location, network location, in Windows, if it's taking 1 GB to download on the same internet, same kind of bandwidth, if it is taking 5 minutes or 3 minutes, if you go to your Linux operating system, same thing, same machine, same bandwidth, but operating system change. In seconds, it's going to what? Download. So the companies who are working on downloading and uploading tasks, they prefer what? Linux. So that's why I'm saying what? Super fast. If you want to set up Oracle, SAP, or any kind of software, big softwares, WordPress, anything, if it is Windows taking 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, so it's going to what? If it is hour, it's going to be minutes. In 3 minutes or 4 minutes and 5 minutes, you can finish your work very faster. Deploying also, uploading, downloading, and even you can operate it. I develop application on Python, and the application is running on Linux. And I have taken one more server, which is running on where? You can see here. You have a two system, 1 and 2. Now this is going to be Linux, this is going to be Windows. Same RAM, same CPU, everything, and you're running what? A Python application here. Python application here. So when you say Python application here, so the user will get experience of what? Performance. So this application will work very fine compared to this, the same application running, but only operating system is changed. When the user is accessing that application, multiple users, definitely Linux can transfer the data, can transfer the files, the pages, what you're receiving. So it's going to be super fast. So that's why most applications running on what? Linux operating system. So you got to implement security. As you say that there is no antivirus for Linux. But antivirus selling in the market as a what? Antivirus what? Windows 10, Windows 11 or Windows 7 or Windows 8. But Windows 7, Windows 8 is expired. There is no Windows 7, Windows 8. But we have what? Windows 11. So now you have to go for what? Antivirus. But Linux operating system, no need to have Linux like a virus kind of like antivirus software. So that means we can say secure and even open source. Because of this, it's secure. And this Linux having a lot of security kind of programs or features built in, which can make a lot of security layers. And hacker is not easy to hack the CLI level, but it can be hacked through what? GUI. So that's why we say what? It's secure. So distros of Linux. What are distros? They have taken distribution of the Linux. When I say Linux is open source, I adapted my company's Red Hat. I adapted that Linux. I did a lot of research. I did a lot of changes, new features. I have done with GUI operating system. I made GUI and I have added a lot of features I introduced in the market. So I call as what? Red Hat Linux. Ubuntu has taken, then Ubuntu Linux. CentOS. So there, this way, a lot of people comes and they develop and they do changes and they offer new features, the purpose, and they said this is a Linux. So that's why you'll get in a market Ubuntu, Red Hat, or CentOS, then Mint, or you can say that Red Hat, CentOS, and then AWS also comes with what? They have developed their own product.
Kali, Parrot.
And then Kali and Parrot.
Parrot.
Parrot and Kali is for what? Forensics use.
Forensic.
The favorite operating system for what? Hackers and ethical hackers, they use this. And this is basically used on server side. If you want to run application, your Mishu application is developed and ready and you want to serve through Linux operating system. So mostly common is what in the market is more popular is what? Red Hat Linux. And if you the Linux, AWS Linux and CentOS and Red Hat is common family. That means 98% commands are similar. There is no differences. But Ubuntu will have some differences. It's a different family, but Linux. So some commands may be differ to this. So now you understand about distros and use history and the differences between Linux and Windows. You got idea importance of Linux, developers, cyber securities, AI. They're using more automation. In automation, people are using what? Linux. To make automation is very highly efficient in the automation. It can work very faster. Now, you got this idea? Now what we have to learn is, when we see the differences and when we see the importance of operating system and why companies asking to have hands-on Linux being what? Cloud and DevOps engineer or what? AI or cyber security. If you are a cybersecurity guy and you are working on a profile in cybersecurity, defending system or artificial intelligence automation, so now even though the companies are asking what Linux, if I learn only cybersecurity and if I just directly go for cybersecurity, you'll find difficulty to learn it, to understand it. You need basic foundation for that. Programming script you should know. You should know about what Linux operating system. Two are very important to learn. So now here Linux. So now companies are asking because of this your application, your programs mostly runs on Linux. That's why companies are asking mostly on what? Linux. As a cloud engineer or a DevOps engineer, we are responsible to do basic essential configuration on what? Linux servers. So do I need to learn complete Linux administration part? No. I don't want to become a Linux administrator because right now the market demands us a little bit low in the Linux, special Linux administration. If you are good into Linux administration, it's good to have knowledge, anything, no problem. But when you go for this, so they're not asking only Linux administration, they're asking again cloud, they're asking about something, security and all those things. It's become difficulty and the growth and salary is different. That's why people are going for what? Which is demanded and which is having a good growth and highly demanded. The profile should be what? Good. So now, mostly people are not going for Windows administration and Linux administration. People are going for engineering kind of thing. Cloud engineering, DevOps engineering, cybersecurity engineering kind of thing. And they're going for different kind of AI, automation, data science. Now, at least, what should I learn? To have some hands-on, to understand the subject, we should have what? 40 to 50 commands you should have. Why customer looking for Linux? As I said, developers and security purpose, they require what? Linux. Who should learn Linux? A new user who is fresh graduate, they should prepare themselves on a Linux, number one, because they want to choose cybersecurity, development, testing, or any AI, anything, they require what? Linux basics. It's recommended part. And now the second one is what? Next is going to what? I can say because it's become a common popular Linux now. Even Amazon also is using what? Linux operating system. So that's why we have to learn. Software developer has to learn Linux because of they need an environment. So now here we got an idea about this open source, what is paid and free software, fast, and this all those things. And now distros also we got. RHEL full form is what? Red Hat Enterprise Linux. RHEL. Types of interfaces also I said CLI, GUI, and a shell. What do you mean by shell? The screen, the program which accept the commands from the user. That is called what? Shell. That means the command which is given by the user is a high level language. It is again converted by kernel. The shell will pass the command to backend program called kernel. A kernel is a kind of another program, it's a core program of every operating system which translates, which acting as an interpreter, which interpret the particular your program or your instruction to high level language to machine to high level language. So because of the shell need to give interface to the user so the user can communicate easily to the computer. That's why the shell is here into Linux. But in Windows we say what? Desktop. Desktop is a program. We say that in a GUI matter we say what? Desktop. But in Windows you have a kind of PowerShell. They're saying what? PowerShell. You see that here, if I say PowerShell in Linux, your Windows machine, you open it, a black screen comes. And even Microsoft is encouraging the users now to use what? PowerShell because of performance and security. In Linux, we say what? Shell. We can say bash shell also. The word we can say now bash shell. So you have to understand what is PowerShell, what is bash shell. Both are CLI, but it is belong to Microsoft, it is belong to Linux. Now, You have to understand that I already said that the hardware resources taken by the Linux to run is very less. If you have half GB RAM also, and you have 3 GB storage, it's wonderful. And if you have an old system before i3, you have to have what? Intel dual core, Core 2 or Pentium 4 machines. We can run well on this machine also. No need to purchase new machines and strong machine and powerful machine. We can run easily. That's the beauty of Linux. That means you should not go for investment of upgrading RAM and hard disk or CPU. But Windows, if you have 4 GB, it's a minimum requirement. Nowadays, Windows 10, Windows 11, you require 8 GB RAM that costs you 2,000 or 3,000 rupees for the RAM. And the CPU, you should have i3 minimum. If you don't have that, it becomes very slow. So it's demanding more money from your pocket. So Linux, that's why preferring a lot of people's. And now I want to know that practically. I don't want to go theoretical part on that. I got information about this. So I want to go for what? File system hierarchy. I want to work it. So before working, you should know that this operating system is organized not like here storage. Whenever you're storing something, your storage, so there will be identical letters. In Windows, we say what? When you go to my PC, you find C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive. And when you open, you find this lot of folders. Basically, this Windows user folder and program folders. This folder is created by Microsoft itself by default. When you see the software, what is the use of program file? Why Microsoft created this folder directory? Because whenever you install any application, Oracle, Java, or Python, whatever you install, so it's going to be installed where? It's stored into what? Program files. Organize. They don't want to keep mess into what? Everything in one folder. They want to organize the data in a systematic way. That's why they have created. And they have organized in program. Whenever you install, it will store here. And your operating system files, the system files will be stored into where? Windows. The hacker targets on what? Only this Windows. If they're able to capture the Windows directory and they're able to get all the files, they can capture, control the machine, whatever the activity they want to do. All the engine of your operating system is stored here in Windows. If you want to break the password, if you want to crack the password, people search into where? Windows. User directory. User directory is a what? Is a kind of directory which is Microsoft created because of what? Whenever the user, multi-user can use the system. User A, user B, user C. So all the user profiles, the directory and file, whatever they are storing, it should be stored into what? One folder called users. So your system is corrupted and now your system has got a lot of problems and you want to format, you want to clean the system and you want to refresh with a new software. So it's recommended to go for what? Take the backup of user folder because your important files, my document, downloads and all those things available in what? Users. So whenever you want to refresh, you want to clean your system, you have to take a backup of what? Users folder. Your application and operating system you can install again, no problem. The software is ready. But what you have done hard work and you have done long work for your official work and you have stored a lot of confidential data, business data. So it must do the backup, user folder. Now, in the user, you'll find all desktop, downloads, my documents, or pictures, music, videos. These all are what? The folders which is created by Microsoft by default. Same thing, Linux also saying that we don't have a C drive, D drive, but identification start with what? Slash. They're saying what? Slash. So this slash is basically referred to what? Root. That means main hard disk reference. If I store something in the slash, I'm storing into the storage. If I store anything. And if I'm onto this, I'm working on a slash, that means I'm accessing the files directly from the storage. Slash is identity of the storage. And if I have, Linux also has created like what? Default folders. But in Linux, we don't say folders, we say directories. Use the terminology directories. Slash home, slash etc, slash pop, slash boom, under slash, because everything main directory is what? Slash. Home, etc. So a lot of directories are there, and every directory having their purpose. Your all data will store where? Basically, your data store in the where? The user data. User data means whenever someone accesses the Linux with the user and password and they want to store the data, they're storing the data, so it will be stored into where? Slash home. Slash home. Slash home is like a what? User directory, which is in Linux, like Windows. You have in Windows. So now you have to understand that slash home is for what? All the directory. If I want to clean the Linux machine, so I have to take a backup of what? Slash home. Slash home. So slash is the main directory. Home is an important directory where user files will be stored into that directory. Understand this point. And different directory. Example, if I log in as a main user, that is called root. In Linux, there will be administrator. But here in Linux, root user. The username is what? Root user, which is default created by operating system. So root user, if I log in with the root user, all the root user information will be stored where? Root. So you have to take a backup of root as well as slash home, because it's maintain what? It's contain what? User files. User files. So now there are different directories for different usage. We'll talk later, but we need to understand slash home and slash root. And slash is the directory symbol, which is referred to what? Referral of storage. So I'll give the notes also, but make a point, key points. The latest version of Linux is what? Red Hat Linux. We'll check out here. Red Hat Linux latest version. You saying what? So you can say directly go to that Linux portal, customer portal, or you can say you can read the articles also. So now we want to do practicals. To do practicals, we need to understand what first? Installing your what? Linux on your PC. So if you want to install it on a Linux on a PC, how do you do that? So now, if you want to install, you have to have Linux operating system. Linux operating system. So now, your Linux operating system here, you need to download the software. It's a free of cost. You can download directly from the website, and you have to install on your machine. So if you want to install on your machine, the operating system should be what? First software. You cannot install on your Windows. They need what? Only one leader in one place, either Windows or Linux. So if you want to go for Linux, you have to install what? You have to remove your Windows. You have to install Linux. Or you have a choice, virtualization. You have what? Virtual. Install as a what? As a virtual machine. That means I want to install on virtual machine. So now for the virtual machine, what is virtual machine? Example, earlier we have to have what? One hardware, one operating system. So earlier, if I want to do some kind of required of what operating system for my project, Python project, I want to implement it, I need 10 Linux and 4 Windows machine. So I have to purchase how many machines? 14 machine I have to invest, and each machine I have to pay for what? Invest on 1 lakh rupees. So 14 lakhs I have to invest only purchasing the machine. Then Windows licensing will be separate. It's going to be very costly. And the power supply bill will be heavy. And I need more space. So now you have an option called what? Virtualization. Now we have a technology called what? Virtualization. On this virtualization, now we have a technology called virtualization, which allow you to run multiple, multi OS on single hardware, single machine. So now I got this technology. I got to know that. So I'm going to purchase 14 machine or one machine. So 14 lakh saved. That means I'm going to save what? At least 70 to 80% capital cost and the power supply usage. So it's saving or not? Because of this technology? Virtualization. So you can install your operating system as a virtual and you can use it in your same machine. You do not require one more laptop. You do not require one more desktop. But now, the more easy, fastest way is what? Cloud. Cloud technology become very easy because no need to install virtualization software, no need to manually install the software on a virtualization. Nothing is required. It is already ready to use it. No need to go for next. What are the steps? How to install it? It takes a lot of time. Downloading, pen drive. You have to keep a lot of things. Why not to have a quick kind of setup? Because I don't want to go for installation. I don't want to be installation part. I want how to use my Linux operating system. The best way is what? On cloud. So how to use the cloud? How to run a Linux and how to practice, how to implement your application on cloud. So first you need Linux. How to run, or you can say deploy or launch Linux on what? AWS cloud platform. It's not only AWS. You can go for Azure also. You can go for Azure, Microsoft Azure. You can go for Google. All offers your Linux operating system. Just click it, few clicks. Within 5 minutes, your operating system is ready. No need to download, install, virtualization, understanding about VMware software. Nothing is required now. So why to waste the time with it? Because time is very important now. So you can go directly for what? Cloud. And what do you require? Example, if I go for cloud, Amazon Web Services, so I need to have what? The requirement is what? AWS account. And if you have account, then you have to go for what? EC2 service. With the help of this service, you can easily launch your Linux and you can work on this. Now I want to do hands-on practice on Linux. So now EC2 service and select what? Linux, AWS Linux, Ubuntu Linux, Red Hat Linux. You have varieties of flavors are available by Amazon. And no need to download, just select it and just say click, deploy and launch, and it's ready to use in 3 minutes and 4 minutes. So it's easy or not? So we'll go for what? This. So now, how to create account? I hope everyone knows about AWS account mostly. Now, how to create AWS account? The prerequisite is what? Debit card or credit card you required, valid email address you required, and Amazon is giving what? Free 12 months most popular services. And what is the URL to go? aws.amazon.com. Suppose if I go with amazon.com, awsamazon.com, you can see here on the right side top you'll find what? Get AWS account. When I click it, so it will ask what? Sign up. So it's like very easy, like email account. You just go ahead and you can just follow the steps and you can do that. Within 3 minutes and 5 minutes, you can have your account is ready. Done. Then you can easily launch. So now it's time to go forward, understanding your Linux commands. Because we got some theoretical part, we got idea, the importance of Linux. Why should I learn? Why should I waste my time 2 hours and 4 hours in the workshop? You got understanding that the importance. You have to work repeatedly on the Linux operating system, and more you have a choice, you can just learn it. There is no issue. You'll get more benefits, more job opportunity when you specify your skills in your resume. Now, if I run the Linux and Linux is started, as I said, in real time we don't go for graphical, we go for what? CLI. So that's why we are working on CLI, shell. That means in a shell, whenever you access the shell or terminal of Linux, so you'll have a prompt. That means the place where you type the command is called prompt. So there's a dollar prompt and hash prompt. When you say hash prompt is a root user. When you say dollar is about regular. You got a point here? So now I'm going to demonstrate how to I'm going to my Linux here and I want some kind of username password. I need username password of anyone. Please can just text WhatsApp me. WhatsApp to me. I got username password I think here. Yeah, thank you. I got from Zia. So I'm logging as a what? Root user. This account is already created and I want to do what? A password for this. I'm able to log in with the username password of Zia, which is created as a free account, which is at a what? Free account. And now when I reach to this account, when I log in, you'll find this application console box, that is home page of this. From here, because this is not workshop for Amazon, it's a workshop for Linux, but if I want to do practice, I'm using the platform of what? Cloud, because it's very easy and cheaper. And you can run easily your Linux within a 5 minutes. So you can see here, in a search box, if I type EC2, just type directly here EC2, click on the EC2 service and go for what? Launch instance. What is that? Launch instance. From here, it will ask some information, so no need to bother for all information right now. So go for Linux, my Linux. You just give a name, my Linux, and say launch. when you say launch, it will ask you, you do not specify the key pair. So I'll click here, I'll say what? Without key pair. Now I don't want to go for key pair because I'm just connecting from a console itself. I don't want to learn more on AWS. I want to go for what? So I'll say Linux. So by default, it will select AWS Linux. It will ask you Red Hat, Ubuntu, lot of things. But by default, it will go for what? AWS Linux. So default username of Linux is what? AWS Linux. Amazon has created you a user called EC2 user, a default user of your AWS Linux. Okay, because you're working on AWS Linux, same commands which works on Red Hat and CentOS also. No worries. Whether you use Red Hat, whether you use CentOS, whether you go for AWS, the all command works same. But I'm using AWS Linux right now. The user default user on AWS Linux is what? EC2 user. So when I connect this Linux operating system after launching it, you see here is saying what? State is running. That means I chosen this in a which region? So that means Ohio. That now I requested Amazon to launch this Linux machine in Ohio. I want to take a rent, and this account is free account. Amazon will not charge for me because they have given promise that commitment. This account is free for you. 12 months you can use, right? And I'm using, so it's running. So it's running on which server, which region? Ohio region. On the data center, there will be a physical server. On the physical server, there will be a virtualized kind of technology. I'm accessing that particular server from my country, India. So I'm just selecting this. I'm just saying connect. After launching, just connect it. And say connect. And now you got a prompt. You can see that username is what? @IP or something. This name is basically computer name. The Linux name is this. The username is what? On the left side. So in this, they are saying that you're connected to what? Amazon Linux. And the prompt is what? $. Whenever you connect to Linux and it's saying some kind of $sign or a hash symbol, when you are into hash symbol, that means you are a root user. When you are connected to user and you find that $sign, that means it can be regular, it can be sudo. But how can I say that? The users are basically three types: root, sudo, and regular. So earlier it was only regular and root user, but now Windows also added one user and Linux also added one user, the special user. Windows is saying secondary user and Linux is using what? Sudo user. What is the purpose? They created this user to perform common operation, administration plus regular commands. You want that example earlier. If I'm administrator, I appointed in a company, I'm using what? Linux. So I'm just using a Linux, and in administration part, you're not continuously typing or something. It's not a coding job. You do some work and you relax. You got an email again, you do some work, you relax. That's it. So now, when you're accessing your Linux as a root user to perform the administration command, you should have to log in as a what? Root user. And if you log in and the hackers can hack your system in the same time, if the system hacked, your Linux system is hacked, so they'll get what? Full privileges. They'll get what? Full privileges, full kind of access, because root user is the what? Is the administration, full privileges, full control. So that to avoid this security purpose, they added one user called sudo. Whenever I log in as a sudo user, it will act as a what? Normal regular user. Session will be what? Normal. So if the hacker hack in the situation, so they'll not get full power. In between, if I found that there's a kind of suspicious, I can change my password because I have got already root user. So if I want to perform admission command, there is no need to switch to root user. You can perform from there also, from the sudo user. How? With the help of what? You have to execute it, this kind of what? By following, followed by sudo. All admin commands should be run through what? Followed by sudo. Is it clear? Now, I want to learn some basic command. Before basic command, I want to say that the EC2 user which is created by Amazon, it is a sudo user or regular user? How can I say that? You have to type what? Groups. If you type groups command, it's a command of Linux. It says what? Wheel. If it's showing the information like wheel, that means it's a sudo user. Wheel is a group, a default security group of Linux, and the user who is belong to this group, that become as a what? Sudo user. That will have a power of sudo user. So now, I found that this current user is basically what? Member of wheel. That means a normal user or sudo user? Online is a sudo user or a normal user?
Sudo user.
Right. So that means this is the user is not created by me. Who created this? Amazon created already. And when I launch, it is login as a what? Sudo user because of security purpose. Now, if I want to see the name of the user, I have to give a command to the Linux. Who am I? It's a very plain English they are using. It's not difficult kind of command, X, Y, Z or something, and you'll say, what is this? And you can easily memorize also because you're typing in a very plain English. Commands are plain English. And all the commands, Linux, with except in what? Case sensitive. Is it case sensitive? Most commands and all command I can say is what? Lowercase. You have to type all command in lowercase. Make a note on that. Is a case sensitive. If you use capital, the command is accepted only lower. It will not accept as a command. The spelling is correct, but it will not accept because it's a case sensitive. Case sensitive. Linux is a case sensitive operating system. And most of the commands are what? Lowercase. When I type who am I, it will give what? User information. I log in as a which user? The username it will display. Linux. And if I want to read a file called under slash a one directory called etc, under that you have a file called what? OS release. OS release is a file in the Linux default, which is under which directory? Slash etc. So I given a path, location to the Linux. Please go there, read this file. Cat command is for what? Reading the files. When I type this, so I got what? Some information. In black screen, you'll find a lot of lines. Don't worry about that. Check what you want. So I want what? This line. The name of the operating system is what? And now the version is what? That's it. I need this. So if you want to know that I'm working on Red Hat, Ubuntu, or because every operating system look like the same black screen, you'll get confused. I'm working on Fedora, I'm working on SUSE, I'm working on CentOS, I'm working on AWS Linux or Red Hat Linux. I don't know. How can I know that? You need to watch which file? OS release. To read the file, what command you're going to type? Cat space. The first letters are basically called commands. And after that, you're going to type all this path, location, this is called what? Your parameters, arguments. So it should be space. The command and argument should have what? Space. And should be what? Small letters. When I say this, I got this. Now if I want to clean the screen, whatever I'm seeing the previous information, if I want to clean, how to clean the screen? What is shortcut? Control L. What is that? Make a note. Because it's going to be regular work. You type command, You see some screen, some information you want to clean up because it's already done. So you can say Control L. When you're stuck in a Linux and you're not getting a prompt and you got stuck, so what do you have to type? We have what command you have to say? Control C to break. Control C to break is any kind of freezing or a halt on the Linux. Suppose you have given some commands. Example, you're given a command called echo, or you're given a command called what? Something like cat. And now when I say cat, it's got what? Down to the line, next line, and there's no prompt. I'm typing some commands, it's not accepting. If I say ls, it's not accepting. If I something echo, it's not accepting. So now I want to type some commands. So I want to go back. I want to exit from here. I got stuck. So you have to press what? Control C. Control C. It's a basic regular task you should know. Control L for clear screen, Control C for break. Exit from that particular session where you stuck. Now, what we have to do is, I'm right now in my system. I want to do what? The manager says that you have to do what? I got an email and it says that you have to do some task. What they have said? They said change name of Linux machine to what? They said keep it as what? Database server or database SQL. They want this name. The name of the Linux should be what? They want the computer name should be changed. The server name should be changed. The host name, we say what? Change name of Linux means host name. The technical word is host name. So how to change it? You type the command sudo hostname ctl hostname set hostname set hostname, and you give the name. What is the name? Database, example database SQL. I want to give this. So I can just give this. So when I type this command and the name will be get changed. If the name is not affected, you have to type what? Bash. It's like a refresh. It's like a refresh. So you got the idea that how to change the Linux host name with the help of which command? This is a command. After the sudo, whatever the type you are typing is like a command. I'll show you here. I want to change it. So I'm saying what? Sudo. If I do not type sudo, what will happen? Let's see here. Host name ctl set hostname, and I want to say what? Database SQL. I want to set it. Could not set static hostname access denied. It's saying that you cannot use this name. So I want to say what is access denied. So I'll use what? Why it's not accepting? Because hostname is a command which comes under administration command. Administration command can be done by only root user, but I log in as a sudo user. So if I want to switch, no need to switch that root user, only just type sudo and type. So automatically this command will be executed by root user. So this way you can do that. Now I want to say that this. So is there any error? In Linux, no error means what? Command completed successfully. Now I want to check. But it's not changed because I said this information is computer name, host name, but it's not been changed. I want to refresh. I have to say what? It's got refresh. Now it become what? So now how to change computer? The manager says this, and I have done this, and then I have to do what? One more command. Now the manager says that create users. Now why? Basically they required what? Now they want to set up this machine, Linux machine. Manager says please set up a Linux machine and do what? Set computer name, the host name. I did this and allow users. The remote user, they want to access this machine. This machine is running in USA. Okay, and here the users are coming from India. So they want to do some work. They want to access this and they want to do some kind of work here. They are developer example. Developer. So they want to connect this machine. So I want to allow how many users? I want to create 2 users because already we have a username called root and EC2 user. Can I give this username to them? No, they'll have full control. I should not give my credential to them. I'll create what? I'll create a regular user. I'll create a regular user for them. I'll say what? John. And I'll say what? Ali. 2 user I have given. So now 2 user is going to be John here. Is working and it's going to be Ali. So who want to access it, but they don't have full access. I want to give only they can connect and they can work onto the Linux. So now I got an instruction that from my manager create 2 users, John and Ali, with the name of John Ali, and set the password. So what do you have to do? In a sudo user add, simple command, simple language English, user add which username? John. Sudo user add Ali, enter, created. But if I want to set the password, I have to say what? The command is what? Passwd. Interview, they can say how to create user. You say what? By user add. How to give the command? User add, username. How to set the password and how to reset the password? What is the command? Passwd. And the username? And you type the password. So you have 2 commands, user add and the task. According to task we are giving. According to task, manager has given some tasks and I'm just using the commands. And I'm learning the commands also. So I want to create a user for them. So I'll just go for what? Sudo user add John. Sudo user add, I'll say what? Ali. 2 user created. But I want to confirm before giving a confirmation to manager whether it's created or not. So all this user information will be stored into which location? /etc, and the file name also passwd. Command also passwd. File name also command passwd. So it's stored into this file. So I'm saying Linux to read this file. Cat command is for what? Reading. Cat command for what? Reading. So this file is stored into which location? /etc. In interview they can say. So passwd, if I want to read the user information which is created, I want to read the file. Which location is stored? You say what? /etc /passwd /etc / when I enter, you don't need to bother about multiple lines. You see from the bottom. What is that? 2 is created, right? You can see that John and Ali is created. Is it clear? Clear? Now, what I want to do is, this job is done. The manager says instruction and I have to do what? Password or not? Amazon, like manager says what? Set the password also. So how to set? Pass wd command and then Ali. So it's saying what? Now, pass wd Ali is saying that root can specify username, but you cannot do that. So what I forget? Is saying what? New password. Please mute your mic. Mute your mic, please. You can see here, there is a kind of what? Password is asking. So when I type password 1, 2, 3, it will not show anything. Remember this point. In Linux, it will not show star star something. You type and just say enter. So it's saying that pass wd all authentication token updated successfully. That means my password is set for the Ali. Now I want to go for what? Sudo pass wd John also. 1 2 1 2. I'm just keeping the password 1 2. It's done. So now I have done this job which is given by the manager. They said, please set the computer name, create a users, 2 users, and because of this user want to access it. So now this way you can go ahead. Now the manager says that create two directories. What is that? Two directories. Name is what? Project 1. And under that, I want to create one more directory called what? Virtual Doctor. I want to say what? Virtual Doctor. And one more directory I have to create. Project 2. And say
Hello.
yes.
Sorry to disturb you, sir.
Go ahead.
Can you please convert regular user to sudo user?
I'm into sudo user also. I'm into sudo user.
Yeah, into sudo user. Can you please show how to convert regular to sudo user?
Okay, no problem. But I'm following my manager. Manager said some task. I have to do that task. Then I'll show you. The manager definitely say that your question. Definitely wait. Right? Please.
Yes.
Okay. Now, create two directories. The manager says what? Understand, learn the subject like real time. Someone has given instruction, you have to learn. And after that, you can have a sequence command. That means how you're going to work in a company. They're going to email you some kind of task. On the base of that, you're learning some commands. You understand that I'm following someone. How do you work? Two directories. How to create a directories? What is the command? mkdir, make directory. I'm instructing to Linux, make directory. But my manager says that this directory should be under what? Under the John user. What is that? They said what? Create a directory under John user, John home directory, not your directory. So how to create this? How to do that? Number one, first you have to do what? SU, switch user. SU stand for what? Switch. Right now you are logging as a EC2 user. You want to switch to what? Another user. su minus space. The username is what? John. You type it. That means you switch to user. You log into the user. Then after that, what do you have to do? Command next. You have type mkdir project 1 as your manager guides. But I want to have one command -p, and I'll say what? Project 1, and I'll say what? Slash, and what directory they said? Subdirectory. The name is what? Virtual doctor. I'll create it this way. So two directory will be created in one command. This is a main directory, this is a subdirectory. First of all,
Why are you using -p?
-p for what? Parent directory. That means I want to make a hierarchy. I want it should be have one parent directory. One directory is going to be master. After that, whenever I say slash, it will act as a what? Subdirectories of each parent. This is going to be parent, this is going to be sub.
Okay.
Fine. So this way, like here, according to manager, I'm just giving. If I do not use -p, I can create only one directory. Then I have to give again command for one more directory. Why to waste the time? So I can use what directory word? P. And I can create two directories in one shot. So now, and one more directory I have to create. The manager says what? A project 2. And the slash, oh, -p I have to give or not? Yes. Project 2 minus slash, and I'll say what? Real estate. They want that two directories should be created in this way. I done this. So now you learn the command how to switch user, because the instruction is what? You have to create directory under specific location. You have to read properly. On the base of that, I said what? su. Is it clear, everyone? Now, I'll just create this first. So right now, I'll switch to what? John. The password is John, is 123. I type. Oh, it's not taking. It's going to what? 12. The password is 12 basically. I given wrong password. Now I'm able to log in as a what? John. You can see that. If I type who am I? So it's saying John. I'm not into EC2 user. Whatever I create, it will be created under what? John user. So I have to create what directory? Do I need sudo command here? Why I'm not typing sudo? Because earlier command I said sudo. Now why? Anyone can say please? No, I'm not the root user. I'm sorry. The commands are categorized and classified into two: administration command and non-administration command. File directory commands are basically called a non-administration command. You do not require root power. Whenever you require to run any administration command, installing the software, remove the software, creating the user, setting the password, changing the permission, these commands are what? Administration command. Then you require sudo because you are acting as a sudo user. But whenever you are executing any command which are non-administration, creating file, directory, deleting, and all those things are what? Non-administration. You don't. That means understand the concept when to use sudo, when it's not required. That is very important point. Now mkdir -p, and I'm saying what? Project 1 and slash. I'll say virtual doctor. Created or not? Yes. No error means created. How to check? There's a command called ls. Because I should not say to my manager without seeing, without confirming, I should not say that I created. You should confirm first. How to confirm? With the help of ls command. But when I say ls command, it's showing only this directory. So there is a command called tree. Tree project 1. If I say tree project 1, whatever the directories and files available in the project 1, it will show all the 30-40 directories of files which is available in this. Because ls means only one directory, but under that may be a lot of files in directory. If I want to see all the file directory, how can I see that? The manager says that Yeah. So after creating the directory, I need a screenshot. Please send me. Have you created or not? So I have to make a first display the directory information. Then I have to take a screenshot and I have to send it. So tree command. When I type tree command, it's saying what? That means saying that there's a command not found. What you are typing is not found. So the spelling is correct. Everything is correct. It's a lowercase. It's lowercase. I given lowercase and the spelling is tree. Same command. I use many times, but I'm just confused. It's saying command not found. That means some command is basically need to be installed. You have to install on the Linux, then you can use it. So now if I want to install, I have to switch to what? Sudo user. I'm on to which user now? Regular user or sudo user? John is a regular user. How can I confirm? I'll confirm you. If someone says, please confirm me. Groups. Is there any wheel? No. That means John is not a member of wheel. He's a regular user, normal user. A normal user cannot do administration tasks. They cannot install the software. But I want to install this software, tree command. Tree is a command. If I want to use the tree, I need to install the tree kind of small program. So if I want to install, I have to switch to again what? If I exit, what is a command? Exit command? Log off. In interview, they can ask. If you want to log off the user, how do you do that? You type what? Exit. When I exit, it will log off from the John and say log out. And you switch to where now? You come back to what? EC2 is a. Now, when I say confirm it, who am I? It's saying what? Now you're not into John, you're into what? EC2 user. Now John wants to install some software. Which software? Tree. What is the command in Linux? Simple command, simple language they are using. My manager has given this instruction, but I got stuck into what? Tree command. Tree command got some issue. It says command not found. I'm sure that tree is the right command, but saying tree command is not found. That means by default tree is not installed on the Linux. You have to install and you have to use it. So I'm going to go for what? Sudo yum install tree. I'm going to go for what? Tree. When I say this, it will ask you, do you want to install it? Yes. Its fraction of second is going to say complete. Now its installation is done. Have you seen that what is a command? That means on the instruction of manager, we are learning commands also. Manager has given instruction to me. I'm executing and I'm showing you. And you're learning some command. What is the purpose of that? Means I'm training you my work directly. There's a concept of quick learner right now. If you sit with any kind of Amazon like cloud engineer or DevOps engineer, cybersecurity, who are working in a company and they are showing you this command is for, I got a mail, I have to do this. You learn quickly. You learn quickly the concept. And after that, if I send a document, you just go through that step by step, and again you more knowledge. That's why I'm keeping this kind of methodology of training is what? Learn by doing. Learn by doing. I'm not going with command 1, command 2, command 3. I'm going with what? I got a mail from my manager and they have given some kind of instruction. On the base of that, I'm just showing the commands. So you can understand the scenario. Why should I do this? Manager has given. You have to understand this kind of real-time scenario. So I have done this. So now, in interview, they can say, what is a command to install the software? Yum. After the sudo, whatever you write is a command, I said. Yum is a command. What is the syntax? Yum, install the package name, the software name. In Linux, the software we call as what? Package. The terminology is different. But when you're working with Ubuntu, you say apt. But right now, in Linux, AWS Linux, Red Hat Linux, CentOS Linux, we use what? Yum. There's a difference command. Got the point now? Now I have to switch to where? Because I have to create some, I have to show that screenshot of that particular directory, what I have created in John. I have to log in again to what? Switch to what? John. I'm right now John. Samia, I'm into which user? EC2 or John user? John user. So now I want to use same command. Tree project 1 is showing or not? Earlier it was showing what? Command not found. Because the command tool is not installed. That's why it was showing. Now I have not installed. I could not install through John user because the regular user. I switched to John sudo user, that is EC2. Then I have used the command yum and I have installed. Now again I come back to the John and I'm using what? Tree command. Simple. I got the list. And this screenshot you can take it. How to take a screenshot? Windows Shift S. I given this. So now I got this word, a kind of screenshot. Now I want to cut this. I want to have this screenshot of this. I created this. So I can send a mail to a manager. I'll go for my email. Because they instructed that, please, after creating, please send a screenshot. I given this, and I'll send my manager, and I'll say what? Screenshot of what? John directory, right? John directory, tree. On copy paste, I did what? Copy paste. So to have a confirmation. Got the point now? So now let's see that what instruction again is giving.
Sir, do you have any option to take the screenshot in Linux? It's like command CLI?
Need to install some packages. Like Linux is having a lot of commands, admission command or something. That's why I'm going with what? Step by step according to my kind of concept, that objective. I want to show you some essential commands. Getting point? Deepesh? So there are a lot of commands are there. You have to install some tools. You can just go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you. So because I don't want to go turn here left and right, I want to go forward. My objective is to show you some commands so you can have good idea about this. That's it.
Okay, sir. I want this, sir.
Please. Thank you. Now I want, like here, the manager says please create some, download some files. Download some? Download website data from freecss.com. They said they're given some URL also, or they'll give some numbers, that IP address and everything. So whatever that I want to download that particular files or website data from a specific location. How to download in Linux? Do you have any command? Yes. Every action will have a command. wget, and they say what? URL, and get downloaded. And after download, but they said, okay, the download should be what? In which directory? They want to say /var www html. This directory they want. And they want website data, and they instructed me to what? Download Tomcat. Tomcat software into var /var. They said that only var. They want to say that just download into what? Var. And get wget URL command. I'll say for what? FreeCSS as well as Tomcat also. Same. Now I download it. After downloading, what I have to do? I have to switch to Word first. Now the command now wget in other directory, specify directory. I want to specify the directory. I want to specify what? How to download file to specific directory with a specific command, right? So what is the command I'm going to use for this? I don't want the same directory. I want a specific directory because my manager says that is about P. What is that? I'll use this option in my command. You can see that. Duplicate the URL and I'll say what? -P and I'll say some specific location. I'll say what? Specific location. Now, okay, now manager says what? Your manager says what? Download the website data from CSS and Tomcat to this location and the free CSS website to be in this location. And I'm saying that URL. So it will download on your own location, own directory. That means you are into what? EC2. So it will download in EC2 directory, home directory. I want it should be one different location. What is that? What www HTML. That means in the command itself, I can give a location where to download. And var is the system directory. Remember, so you should not directly use wget. You have to act as a root user, sudo. Now I'll show you that. Now I'm doing here. I'm typing what? Wget. I want to have a URL.
Sorry to disturb you, but I didn't get the point last which you have told. Can you please repeat it?
Which point, please? Can you repeat once again? At least 50%. You're an active role, right? You're attending
Yes,
class
sir.
or not? Attending?
Yes, sir. I'm
Okay, I need at least 50% what I said. Then I can continue 50%.
okay, sir.
What I
You
said?
told for
The manager,
yes,
what
sir.
manager said?
Managers have said to create a website there.
No, I'm sorry. Manager did not say, even I did not say that. Please.
Sorry, sir.
No, after listening, if you have doubts, is different. But you're not listening is not different. You have to be very active and online. My manager says what? To download some software, the website which is on a specific location, not website. That means it's not installing or creating a website.
I have to download the website from freecds.com.
Okay.
In that slash www/html.
var www.html. Okay. /var/www.html. Okay, he said. So what do you want now? What a command? Duplicate the URL which is given by the manager, then -p, space -p. Why -p? I want to redirect to my command that download that file not in my home directory. Download to where? Specified directory. That is what? /var/www.html. Is it clear? Soumya is clear?
Specify directory if you want to download will use
-p.
wget -p.
No, duplicate URL, then -p. Okay, now I visited the location of the manager what they have given, and I'm copying something what the address of that particular, because I want into Linux, not Windows. That's why I copied. I did not press download. So now if I say paste here, and if I say after the pasting here, duplicate, paste, then I'll do what? Just a minute. Duplicate, paste it here, and in the word you type -p, and specify what? var www, because manager said that you have to download in this directory. When I enter, he's saying what? Is downloading or not? downloaded a file. In which location? /var. It says, so now I want to see that ls command is downloaded in my location, is not downloaded to that location. Because it's saying what? So now I'll go to what? I'm into John. No. Okay, fine. Now what I'll do is I'll go to what? Switch to EC2 user. But I want to switch means I will just log out from here. I'm into EC2 user. Now I'll say what? wget command, and I'll say what? Command, then I'll say what? -p. Wget and paste, and then -p, and I'll say what? Var www HTML. When I say this directory, I got this again is saying what? It is saved into this local directory but is not able to copy in that same directory. That right? So now I want to understand why. I need to investigate. So how to investigate? CD. I want to go to this location. In Linux, when you press tab, automatically directory name will be continue. But I'm pressing tab, I'm not getting this. I said var www, I'm not getting. So when I said tab, it's saying only these directories are available. www is not directory, is available. So what should I do that? Because this directory www HTML, I can create directory. I can do that. Now I'll do what? mkdir, and I'll say what? /var, and I'll say what? Which file? www. But it's saying access denied. Why? Because I said mkdir is a general command, regular command, but I'm creating to a system directory, so it is not allowed. Only root user can do that. So that's why I have to say what? Sudo mkdir, then var and www. It's created. Now again I'll go forward one more command, var www. Under that I want to create one more directory called what? HTML spelling. Okay, done. So now if I say tree of /var, I'll get what? Lot of directories. So what I'll do is, because a lot of directories are there, var is a system directory, I'll say what? ls/var/www. When I say this, I'm getting what? Yes. In this directory, there's a HTML directory is available. So now I want to install its command. Same command I'll repeat it. Earlier we got some error that it cannot be that. Now I'm going to go with this. Now again is saying what? Scheme is missing. Why? So what do we have given? Okay, we have not given. Okay, I have not given what? Sudo command. So now what I'll do is sudo wget. Now I'll say what? -p var www HTML. Let's see again saying what? What is the problem? It's not downloading on the location, it's downloading in my location. Let's see here, you got what? -p, capital or small? That's why I said it's case sensitive. Case? That's why it's not downloading. wget and the URL, then you say -p capital and say var www HTML. Now let's see, is downloaded or not? So it's saying what? What is the problem? because I have not used sudo command.
No.
Sudo, that means you're getting understanding the errors. Don't stuck anywhere. Access denied, how to check it? Sudo problem. Permission, user problem. And file is not missing, file missing, command not found, and it's saying that your specific scheme is nothing but a what? After command, whatever you're typing, P, R, something that's called scheme, options. So it's saying that this. So that means I have to say what? Duplicate, then I have to say insert, then I have to say this, then I'll say what?
Capital P.
Just a minute. Sudo duplicate var triple w. Is it clear? I'm typing this command. Now when I type this command, it's downloaded. It is saved into which location? Earlier it was saying scheme. Again it's saying what? It was saying what? Permission. Now it is done or not? Because sudo. So let's see whether it's created or not. So how to check? ls command var triple w html enter. So you should have this file carvilla.zip. So if I want to unzip this file, how can I do that? Simple command is what? Unzip. Which location? HTML. And the name file name is what? And in Linux, this beautiful thing is what? If the file name is big, you type only 2 letters or 3 letters and press tab. Automatically it will cover. It will automatically take the name. So you have to use this kind of option. Unzip. I did this. So I want to check out whether it's completed or not. I'll say triple W HTML and the location is what? Car, right? Sorry. HTML. When I say enter, so it's not extracted. Why? Because of what? If you want to extract it, you have to go for what? It's unzip, zip one. You have to go for sudo because you are you're working on what? This directory. Sudo is compulsory. It's a system directory. Now replace. Now if I say ls, now here when I say ls, is giving extracting where? Into my directory. Extracting to what? In the same location because I'm into this home directory. It's extracted. Extracted, but it's keeping where? Into same directory, home directory. I'll say pwd. Pw is a command for what? Present working directory. So I'm into what? Which user? Which directory? /home/system user. So it's downloaded, it's converted, it's extracted into this directory. So now if I go with this, I want to extract on var. So I have to go for var triple W HTML. When I enter into this, I'm into right now which directory? /var/triple W HTML. And when I say ls, I'm seeing that one file called .zip. Unzip carvilla zip. It will be saying error. Why? Sudo. Because I'm unzipping in what? In var. Unzip. Now there is no errors. Now you see that what? The blue color is a normal regular directory. Red color is a what? Compressed directory. Compressed file. So ls command for what? To see the contents. According to manager, I have followed all the instruction I have done. Manager has not given any commands. Manager said do this. I should know the commands. Manager will give only instruction to create this, download this, something. They will not guide you on the commands. So that's why we have done this command. I hope up to here is clear. Is clear now? Any questions online, offline? Please raise your question. Up to here, I have given a kind of commands in the form of what? A real-time use case. Manager has given instructed, then I given the commands. According to the manager, I have shown you commands. Okay, tar example, whenever you say that, there's a kind of zip and tar. Differences. I want to take a difference. So tar stands for what? Tape archive, and was originally formatted as easily transfer multiple files. If I want to take a backup, so I need one single file. That means hundreds files I want to back up. It will back up. It will capture into one file called compress. That is called what? Tar. Tar.gz. It's a compressed format. In Windows also we find zip and rar. Zip is a compress. Rar also is a compress. So they will have their own compression ratio. The size will reduce in different manner. Here you can transfer files backup tape. It is mainly used for Linux and Unix. Windows does not use what? Tar. A zip file is a what? Format created for what? Compressing one or more files. Zip is a compressed file. But it's saying what? It's a kind of tar is a basically backup system where you do the backup in tape. So it's saying that the tar and basically tar and zip is a what? Compress. If I want to take a backup of 100 files, it will back up and it will make one file called what? xyz.tar. If you want to extract the tar, if this file is tar, then I have to use the command tar. If it is zip, I have to use unzip. It's not Tomcat, XYZ. Whatever the manager has given, please download it. Download. I found what? It's a tar. Then I have to do what? Tar command. I have to use tar command. If the file what I downloaded it is zip, then I have to use unzip. The commands differ depending on the extension of the file. If the extension says tar.gz or tar, I have to use tar. If the extension says what? Zip, I have to use what? Unzip command to extract it. Is it clear? Now I want that you have to demonstrate, because already is 11 past 20, because we have started 11:10. I have just given 11:20 here. So I'm just concluding the session, and I'll give you this all tasks and commands also. Do it more, because tomorrow I'm going to show you some commands and I'll take 10-15 minutes kind of test. You have to sit here and I'll give some instruction like a manager. I'll send you. You have to follow the instruction. You have to create something. Is it clear? If you do more practice, you will be fast, or else your time is going to be waste on typing only. So please do the practice more and more on this. I'll give the commands also, what I have shown you. So I'm concluding the session. Thank you for joining here, the session of workshop on Linux, and which is very important to understand. Each one should understand. I started with very basics: computer, operating system, application, then prompt, launching your Linux on Microsoft like Amazon, AWS platform. Then we have started with what? Linux commands. So it's very important to know these commands. Don't take whatever I'm giving example, don't take only that example. Be a logical person. If I say tomcat.tar, you should not say tomcat is going to be tar. So it can be example. Any tomcat can be in a zip format, it can be tar format. Whatever it may be, you have to download. You have to extract it with the different commands. Is it clear? Soumya is clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Suji?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Soumya, Suji here. And Samuel, what about you? We have a Samuel, a friend who is like from African country. So he joined. Samuel, like, what do you say? Any questions? Am I audible? Unmute your mic and you can talk. Samuel A. Johnson. Fine. Thank you. So now we got this kind of first class. The second session will be what? On Sunday. Same timing will follow. And we'll conclude with a test. We'll conclude the subject with a what? Test. And I'll give some notes also. A PDF notes to follow the commands. Try to do whatever I'm saying. Try to do the commands repeatedly without seeing the books. Then stop your practice. Understanding. Right with understand. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.